here on a Friday. These used to be, Captain by a Hook Fridays, but with this wild schedule and everything that's been going on, this might turn into something special, man. Got some talks with my boy, the Redbeard. We might be coming on Fridays, but a new guest with me. Uh, Best way to describe it, while he's our NBA expert because let's be honest, I'm a football guy. I don't know a fuck about the NBA, so we got my boy on. You can hear him in the background. It's my boy, Matt Maltese. Matt, how we doing, man? Like we talked about a little bit in the intro. Sorry before we let you go. Been a minute since I've seen you, man. So yeah, how you been, man?
All good, man. All good. Yeah, it's been a long time. Definitely some years for sure. But yeah, I'm super stoked to be here, man. We've been talking about this for a super long time, and you know, to see it, yeah, I know, to see it finally come to fruition is great. So day is finally come.
Like I said, I don't know NBA that much, and you know a lot about the NBA. So hopefully you can give us some insights and everything to help us get going and everything. And I think last time, I think it was damn near our senior project.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything. Been a
Wow.
long time, way too long. But hey, we ain't here to talk about SXU, even though shout out to Dirty X. We don't need to talk about that today. I brought you here to talk about some NBA, and I know you got
Yeah.
we got a little bit of tight schedule, so we don't need to mess around too much today. Let's get straight to business.
There.
So I asked you to bring us 3 to 5 things about the NBA that you have found interesting to start the season so far. If you can do three, you can do five. We can go however you want to go. I'll let pretty much just give you the floor. I might jump in here and there and just ask you quick questions. But my
Yeah.
biggest thing before you go, I'm my biggest shock about the NBA. I'm not like I said, I'm not going to talk too much. First off, the Heat, man, we need to wake up. Besides that, though, what 76ers, man? We'll talk about that here later. That's my biggest thing. But I want, like I said, I want you to have the floor. What are some things for us, like me? I haven't watched a lick of NBA, only kept up with the scores. What are some things I should know besides LeBron and Bronny James? That's about all I got.
Yeah, so I came up with five things. I went above and beyond a little bit. And these five things are probably things that most people aren't talking about right now, which is kind of the whole point of it. I think it's super important to just, try to give the viewers just kind of more deeper stuff than you would see on a typical, ESPN show or something like that. So the first one I want to talk about is a player from the Orlando Magic, Franz Wagner. His emergence has just been incredible this season. I mean, and it's kind of funny that we're talking about it right now, coming off one day ago where he hit the game-winning three-point shot against the Lakers to beat them by 1 point with like 2 seconds left in LA to give them their first loss. So it's ironic that we are, but man, this dude has just been killing it this year. No Paulo Banchero, he's been out injured, and he's really had to kind of shoulder most of the load this year. And he's just been outstanding. I mean, just I think last night he had like 37 points, 11 assists, close to a triple double. So I really wanted to give Franz his flowers, man. I've always liked his game. And he just seems to be one of those players that's just getting better and better every single year. And, within the weaker conference of the two, I can really see him pushing for an all star appearance this year. I really can. And he's off to a great start. So that one is number one.
Jump in with that because
Yeah,
I
sure.
actually playoff wise, that boy Franz, he did me some nice things that Cleveland series, and then he kind of got cold a
Yeah.
little bit, heartbreaking stuff there. But a
Yep.
lot of the talk I've heard between Franz and it's between Franz and Paulo, how it feels like not more of a give and take thing, but more of like this guy's good when this guy's gone, and when this guy's gone, this guy's good. More thing. Do you think that hopefully big thing is Magic fan I heard of talked about it basically as hopefully this is Franz Wagner realizing, hey, like you said, he could be an all star. I'm an all star too. He got that money. Do you think that potentially with Paulo gone now for I think like another month, right?
Right.
At least with him
Right.
gone, do you think there's a chance that Franz might be when he comes back? Do you think basically what I'm saying is when he comes back, do you think there's a chance that Paulo and Franz might be able to figure it out? We might be able to see a dynamic duo instead of more of a give and take, I guess.
Certainly. I think that's what it has to be in order for this team to make the next step, right? I mean, you kind of touched on it as far as them having their ceiling last year. Obviously, they had a great year back in the playoffs, but the ceiling with the way they were playing was a first round exit. And as good as that series was against Cleveland, they ended up losing, right? They lost in a tough 7 game series. I don't believe they won a road game in that entire series either. So, um, It's got to be that if they want to be a legitimate contender to teams like Boston, Cleveland, who they lost to last year, New York, even, then they really have to learn how to get both of those guys going at the same time. And they're a young team; those guys are young guys. I think they're gonna have plenty of time to figure it out. Paulo's only in his third year. Franz is in his fourth. So, I mean, they're still very young guys. The future's super bright. And with Franz playing like this, you got to hope that Jamal Mosley and the coaching staff realizes that, okay, we can kind of draw up several plays for both of these guys, and they're already probably doing that. But like you said, a lot of it was just give and take. If Paulo's off one night and Franz carries it, I would really like to see both of those guys shoulder the load moving forward when Paulo comes back. Yeah, this is Paulo's third year, and then Franz's fourth year. So I mean, that's a super young team. Having those two guys for the next however many years, their future's bright, and they're already making playoffs. So they should be a really good team for years to
I thought he just got in the league yesterday. That's a wow.
come.
3 years is great. That's been flying by. What's your second point though? We don't need to. I'm very excited about that though. I am Magic have been like. I feel like they're the team that's going to be like really really fun and exciting to watch. Like if you aren't, what are the more exciting? Do you think they're one of the more exciting teams to get into? Last thing to touch on them. Like say if you've never,
Yeah.
you don't know who to follow as an NBA team, would they be one of your ones of your top three? Would you say?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so, or close to it. I mean, especially when Paulo comes back, that just makes them even more better. They've been struggling a little bit with him out, but you can't really fault him for that. He's their best player. As good as Franz is, Paulo was playing outstanding before he got hurt too. I mean, he was just killing it. It sucks to see him go down, but absolutely, I think that that's a team worth watching because outside of that, you got Jalen Suggs, a really good young point guard. You got Mo Wagner, Franz's brother there. You got Wendell Carter Jr. You got KCP that they signed in the offseason from Denver. So they got a really good.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got a really good squad. And I think they can make some noise. I'm hoping if they make it to the second round this year, that's like another step. So that's just part of the trajectory. But unfortunately, in sports, success is not linear. A lot of times where you take one step and then you take one step forward and you take two steps back type deal. But I think with these two stars, man, I think they're in the right spot.
shout out the New York Jets. Anyway, what was your second point? Man, they're trying.
Second point, yeah. So I'm going to go to a team in the opposite conference and talk about the New Orleans Pelicans and particularly their injury struggles. This was a team that I was really excited to see coming into the season, especially when they traded for DeJounte Murray, the Atlanta Hawks point guard from last year. But man, they're off to a 4-12 start now. So they're really struggling as of late. Everybody's been out in that lineup. I mean, Zion's out again, DeJounte's out, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram. So their injuries have just been very unfortunate to see because I was just looking forward to them being one of several teams in the West that would make noise. So I just wanted to shed some light on that too.
Last time we saw something like injury wise with him because it's like man, I'm trying to think of like especially in the NBA. It's just crazy to think that Duke. I know that wasn't the injury, obviously, and everything, but just ever since then, it's been like, man, this guy. I just feel like I've never seen him on the court, and it's just so heartbreaking to say.
Yeah, yeah, he's really been struggling with that. I don't know what the exact number is as far as the most games he's played in one year, but I know it's not high at all.
That'd be just my guess off the top of the head.
My guess is 40s. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dunk like a year and a half ago, I think I remember, and he was like all
yeah.
pumped up and everything. That's literally my
Exactly.
last memory of it. It sucks. It's like I mean, it just sucks.
It's too
Dudes with all
bad
this
because
talent.
the hype around him was just incredible coming out of college, coming out of Duke.
Can't speculate because we don't know if it's like just a genetic thing, a body thing, him not taking care of it. Like we obviously hate to speculate, but it's like man, you watch. Obviously, it's like guys like I know this would be sound stupid. LeBron, Tom Brady, those guys who are freaks and just be
Right,
able to
right.
take it forever. This is just I feel like one of those moments where you realize, damn, some people are human, huh? And it's just like you just a guy who just can't seem to get it right. 4-12 is crazy. I'm just looking at these records, like man, You're telling
Yeah,
me that the Portland Trailblazers are better than the New Orleans Pelicans? What
it's
in the
crazy, man.
hell?
They've had at least like
Man,
five of their top seven guys injured, all year, and it's just like super unfortunate luck. There seems to always be a team each year where their injuries are just too much to overcome, to where it's like, because I know last year it was Memphis, right, with John Morant, Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart dealt with bad injuries. So last year it was Memphis, but there always seems to be like one team every year who just gets snake bitten with injuries, and from start to finish, and it's like, okay, well, their season's done. That's kind of how I feel about New Orleans right now. So that was my second point, and then the third point, going back to the Western Conference, two teams, Dallas and Minnesota, off to kind of slow starts. I mainly highlighted those two teams because they were the two teams that were in the Western Conference Finals last year, and they're off to 8-7 starts each. They got identical 8-7 records. Um, Minnesota lost a tough game yesterday to the Raptors, which was very surprising. And Dallas plays Denver tonight in the NBA Cup, which we're going to get into pretty soon. But yeah, I mean that's very surprising for me to see those two teams um, off to slow starts. Now the season's young, right? I mean, 15 games in, but nonetheless, pretty surprising there.
I've heard of this game, or not these game, these teams is like with the Timberwolves. It's the they traded Cat thing, or more of a Warriors Anthony Edwards at because it's war. I just can't figure it out with them. And for the Mavs, isn't Luca hurt and he's out for a little bit with the wrist, so that's gonna
He
hurt
is
him even
now.
more.
He is now. Yeah, they announced that. I want to say yesterday or the day before. But yeah, I definitely. I mean, I think with with Minnesota, I think a lot of people were scratching their heads at that trade for both sides. I mean, that was one trade where, in my opinion, both teams would have been better off if they didn't make it. That's Minnesota and New York. But it seems to New York's credit, it seems like they've been getting better end of it because Cat has just been going off for them so far. So um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just lack of chemistry issues with trying to implement Randall in the starting lineup instead of Towns for so many years or what. But I expect both of these teams to turn it around eventually. But that was just kind of something that caught my eye up to this point in the season.
What number do you expect these teams to turn it around at? No, I'm just kidding. Not, where do you like where? When should we? Because obviously I know with the Timberwolves it might take time because yeah, chemistry and everything.
Same with Dallas, right? With
Yeah,
Clay,
I guess it is true. Yeah, true. I forgot about Clay
Yeah,
over there too as well. When do you
yeah.
was it? Should we expect this like December, January? I know for the Mavs, I think last year was like February when they finally got fully rolling and
Yeah.
everything. So
It
is that
was
one of
right
these
at the deadline.
situations where we
Right
yeah
at the
look
deadline.
then?
Yep. Yeah, right at the deadline when they turn it around. But yeah, I would say maybe, if they're right in this area and let's say a month and a half, 2 months, then you can really start worrying. But I really expect both these teams to turn around. I mean, they both got two absolute superstars. They both got, great depth behind those stars. Obviously, Dallas has like a co-star in Kyrie, um, and Minnesota's got a lot of really good players behind Edwards as well, and Randall and Gobert and DiVincenzo, Conley, McDaniel's, Naz Reid, etc. So I expect both of them to turn it around. But if they're in this predicament in about a couple months, then it's definitely time to worry for both fans. But that kind of brings me to my fourth takeaway thus far, and I kind of want to talk about not the players anymore, but the coaches. And a few front runners for Coach of the Year, I think, so far. The first one's Kenny Atkinson. I think this one's pretty obvious with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, they've gotten off to outstanding start at 16-1 now.
Oh,
They started 16-0. They lost, I believe, on Tuesday to Boston, their first loss. Well, I think it was 15-0 and then 15-1. Then they won again to make it 16-1. But nonetheless, great start for them. And he's the first year being there in Cleveland as well. He's a former Brooklyn Net coach, and he's definitely got to be the front runner for Coach of the Year up to this point. I mean, to take over a team that was good. They won a playoff series last year. Then they lost to five to the eventual champs. To take over a team like that to a team that looks like an actual like powerhouse contender up to this point, you got to give him his flowers for that for sure. So,
As a favorite for coach of the year. That's
oh, there you go, there you go. So I think he right now it's his award to lose. Obviously, we're talking way too early on this, but up to this point, it's definitely him. And then the second guy I want to look at is JJ Redick for the Lakers. I mean, he has been great, right? I mean, the Lakers are 10-5, so right.
I think, sorry to interrupt you real quick, but I think the clip I go back to the most is seeing JJ on the sideline. This is obviously an X clip on formerly known as Twitter. That basically is JJ Redick going off talking, like doing strategy and everything, and then the other ones of Darvin Ham being like, "You gotta have heart, man. Go find the ball make the
Right,
play,"
right,
something
right.
like that. Where it's just like, just
Yeah,
obviously, I
it's
know Harm's not like that all the time, but just seeing like JJ actually, it's like okay, so it's like he's taking this seriously, obviously, which I'm assuming he would. But it is really
yeah,
nice to see. It's a different take for the Lakers for sure. It feels like.
sure, sure. Yeah, different personalities between them too, right? JJ's kind of more of an aggressive guy. He's a little. I mean, he's a little like more vocal, I would say, than Darvin Ham. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's one of those kind of guys. So, yeah, I mean, you can't argue with their record, 10-5. Honestly, they probably should be 11-4 right now. They blew that game last night against the Magic, but 10-5 is still a really good record. Um, Before last night, I think they were on like a 6-game winning streak too. So they've just been really, 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 really good start for the Lakers. I think they have a really good roster, and I think they really have a good chance of making a lot of noise in the West. Not the biggest Laker guy, so I'm hoping they don't, but I'm calling it like I see it. And JJ, I'm giving him a lot of love because they're off to a really good start, and just the different rotations and in-game adjustments that you see compared to what the Lakers have done the last 2 years under Darvin. It's night and day. I mean, the lineups make sense, the adjustments make sense. Taking LeBron and AD out at certain points throughout the games makes sense. And Anthony Davis is just playing his best basketball of his career right now. I mean, he's averaging like over 30 points, um, and like right around 10 or 11 rebounds on high efficiency. He's only missed one game so far this year, so he has just been killing it. And I think you got to give a little credit to Reddick there for that as well.
I've been seeing a lot of is that they really need a center. I heard that in the
Yes,
point
they
guard. I
been
don't know how true
putting.
that is.
Yeah, they've been going pretty small. Rui Hachimura has been out for the last several games now. Yeah, yeah. So they're starting the rookie Connect, Dalton Connect, who had a crazy game the other night. He dropped like 37 points as a as a rookie. So they're starting him with Reeves, LeBron, AD, and I want to say because they moved D'Lo to the bench now, which has been pretty good start thus far. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they need another big man because outside of AD, they really don't have any more traditional big man. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt's like a long, lanky forward, but he obviously doesn't have too much weight on him. He's just kind of like a longer guy. He could play the four, but that'd be a pretty small lineup. But Christian Wood is another guy who's injured, who they could probably use right now for size. But um, yeah, outside of AD, they don't have much. That's a good point.
Real quick, off the top of your head, because I didn't ask you to prep for this, obviously, kind of putting you on the spot a little bit. If you could get a center for them, who's a center you think they could like go for? Because I don't know if there's any like free agent out there, even trade wise. Who's a center that you think that would fit them perfectly? That they could get. I guess would be. They
Man,
don't have to get him, obviously, but what like basically they don't have to trade for him. What, but if it's reasonable to do, who do you think would be a good
yeah,
fit for that Lakers team, basically?
yeah. One guy that's coming off the top of my head, and it's not somebody that needs to be a star, right? Like that's unrealistic when you have two superstars already. They Yeah, right, right, right. Three and counting him. You're right. One guy that maybe it's just because we talked about his team just now, but one guy that's coming to my mind is Wendell Carter Jr. Just a guy who's like a back who could just play off the bench, like literally as like a true backup to AD. He's going to get you, a couple blocks a game. He crash your boards. He can space the floor a little bit too. Not the biggest guy in the world, but as a backup center, I wouldn't think that's bad at all. I mean, you could do much worse than Wendell Carter Jr. Now, I don't think the Magic would trade him because they're trying to compete as well. Um, I think someone like that would work. I think like a Jonas Valanciunas would be pretty interesting because he's on the Wizards now, and that's the team that's really trying to tank for um, Flag, the Duke prospect, Cooper Flag, and he's just an aging veteran that is probably going to get moved at the deadline, even though they signed him in the offseason. That's the guy I can really see the Lakers trying to make a move for. Valanciunas is a guy that can easily get you 10 points, 10 boards a night, maybe even more than that on some nights. So those are just a few guys that I think the Lakers could use at that backup center spot. It doesn't have to be anyone, you know, doesn't have to look sexy on paper. It just has to get the job done in real life.
Old Wash, Andre Drummond. Shout out the 76ers. We'll get to them in a minute. What's your final point before we do get into the
Yeah, so my
76ers?
final point is just about the entire Western conferences in general. I mean, these numbers are just outrageous. I mean, there's 12 teams in the West right now that have a 500 record or better. 12. 12 compared to 4 teams in the East that are 500 or better. So that,
Wait a
that means
minute.
there 16 or 12 of the 16 teams in the NBA right now are in one conference. I mean, it's amazing. And this is something that most people predicted going into the season.
Bad.
Um, I don't know if we predicted it to be this lopsided, but man, I mean, it's like or San Antonio is at like 500 right now. I think they're the 12th seed or something like that. It's insane, insane. They'd be like a top five seed in the East.
Put them, the Heat are 6 and 7 as a 5 seed. So I think that, yeah, literally, I think it literally put them at the 5 seed. That's crazy.
There you go.
I know
It's
they say the
crazy,
West
man.
is the best, but my goodness, yeah, I'm just looking at these standings. I mean, man, shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, hey, y'all made the playoffs, man. I don't think you got to play a game damn near the rest of the season. You're damn near make the playoffs. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
Uh, wow.
the parity is definitely skewed a little bit to the West, which is bad news if you're a fan of a team in the West, because I could literally see just about. I mean, if you told me that any of those 12 teams would make a run to at least the second round, I would probably believe you. Even San Antonio. I mean, with Wemby and Chris Paul's there now and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, point guard, man, point guard.
Uh, Real
Yeah.
quick before we move on to the 76ers question I got for you, the war.
They they have been. This looks like the best team they've had since they won the title 3 years ago.
Got rid of Clay,
Yep,
and
yep. They replaced Clay with Buddy Hield. Um, they added a few bench pieces as well. Their younger players are stepping up as well. The Kamingas of the world, and Gary Payton's still there. Brandon Pajemski is like a backup point or backup guard that comes off the bench now. Draymond obviously still there. Wiggins is playing really good basketball to start the year. So, and then obviously, yeah, yeah, he has been.
choose last year with everything going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the best he's looked since like they won the title for sure. And then Steph. So anytime you got an all timer like Steph Curry, your window's always open as long as you surround him with the right pieces and right staff and whatnot. But yeah, 11-3, they're absolutely killing it, and it's great to see because I'm a big Steph Curry fan.
For Steph too. I mean, 8-2 in their last 10. It's just
Yep.
like you said, it's awesome to see for Steph too, because especially it's one of those things where it's like I don't think a lot of people appreciate greatness as much as we should anymore. Like I think, like you hear the words "goat," all that stuff thrown around way too much and everything, and it's like it's truly nice because like once they're gone, they're gone. Because I remember like the days of like hating Tom Brady, like man, this guy needs to get the hell away from my team. I'm tired of him ruining my team. I
Well, you're a
hate this
Colts
guy.
fan,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But we don't need to get into that. They play the Lions this week, and we don't need to get into that. Anyway, but yeah, no, you see stuff like that, and then he retires, and all of a sudden you realize like it's like wow, that guy. Truly great. And now, like personal story, real quick for me, my
Yeah,
family like Super Bowl. Like it's always oh, why does Mahomes have to win again? Oh, this is so stupid. Now it's nice to the point where it's like I've finally grown as a sports fan, where it's like, man, and to witness greatness. That's exactly how I feel, Steph Curry. Where it's
dude.
like at first it was rough, and now it's like, wow, we're truly living in like these are our guys. Like this is something that I'm gonna be able to talk about the rest of my life. Like, man, that Steph Curry guy. And
No,
shout,
nobody likes winners, right? Like when you win too much in sports, that's when they start turning on you. Like it's the truth. I
works.
mean, with Mahomes, like not to sidetrack into football, but just real quickly with Mahomes, like
6 years ago, nobody hated him, right? Like he was he was the new quarterback. That was
Yeah.
yeah. That's why. I mean, everyone was pulling for him. They were the ones that were going up against New England. Everyone wanted the Chiefs to win, and then now that they're winning too much, it's like no, they're the villains of the league. Like nobody likes winners, man. So that's just life, though.
Man, you couldn't say it better myself. And that's speaking of now we're gonna talk about some losers, man. And some pieces of shit that keep leaking stuff to the media. 76ers 2 and 12. 15th, very bottom of the league. Paid all that money for Paul George. Not gonna say the Clippers were right in letting him go, but so far so good. That's might be a freezing cold take, but man, 1 and 9 their last 10. I mean, I'm just looking at some of these stats for them. I mean, they're just what is wrong with them? Like, is this something where it's like an absolute concern? Because like I know there's been some issues like Joel Embiid. First off, probably shouldn't have played in the Olympics. The more we learn about it, I don't think he was healthy. Yeah, mic difficulties. We're just gonna leave some of this in. It's gonna look kind of fun and kind of awkward. Anyway, back to where I was
Well,
talking about.
yep.
Pick up with any point. Sixers are bad. What's going on with them? Is this something we should worry about? I know Joel Embiid probably should have skipped Olympics. Probably not healthy.
Yeah.
Probably they should. Probably should have held him off to bring him back. There's just a lot of weird questions. Is this what's wrong with the what is going on with the Sixers? Is this like an actual concern because people were talking like this team is. We don't need to get in the Bucks. I mean, there's a lot of teams we need to talk about. The Bucks, the Pacers. There's a lot of teams we need to get to over these next few weeks. But Sixers
Yeah.
seem like to be like the blinking red lights. Like, all right, 2 and 12. We did not get this team for 2 and 12. Hey, what's going on?
A lot, man. I mean, the continuity's not there. They don't have the chemistry right now with Embiid and George and Maxey going in and out of the lineup.
They haven't played together though, right? At least.
Yeah, they might have played like two total games with all three of them in the lineup or something like that. Like maybe a little more, but it's certainly not enough to where because that's just messing up the chemistry, right? It's messing up the game plans schematically from game to game. It's hard to win that way when you got stars coming in and out of the lineup each and every game, and they're trying to load manage Embiid at the same time, but they really can't afford to do that because they're 10 games under 500. So it's like yeah, it's a mess. I mean, it really is. I didn't think this team was a championship team from the start. I certainly didn't think they would be 2 and 12 though through 14 games. I mean, this is probably as bad as it can get right now, and they can't afford to have any of those three guys miss any more games if they want any chance to even make the play in, let alone the playoffs.
Sadly, cannot even find the can't find the odds for this, but to make the playoffs for the 76ers right now is minus 215, which the Bucks think
Wow.
that like they're gonna figure this out. Which I'm assuming like with how bad the East is, they truly I think do have a chance because they can easily just
Fair.
make it from the play in and all that. But it's
Yeah.
just like man, I was about to say before we move on to like the important stuff that's not the 76ers being bad because like we'll let them like you said there's obviously chemistry issues and everything. They need to
Right.
figure all this out. Uh, for them to make the play-in is minus 200. So I pretty much think that's what the Bucks are saying is they're going to make their way through in the play-in. Do you think if you had to pick right now, would you pick them to make or miss the playoffs? As of right now, knowing all the factors, knowing everything, would you miss it?
Is this Milwaukee? Oh,
Sorry.
Sixers.
Yeah.
Sixers, man. I think I would pick them to miss. Honestly, I really would. Um,
Quickly go over the East standings. Well, I mean, you're
yeah,
talking them 2 and 15. 10 seed makes a play-in. That's 6 and 9. They're only technically. I know it's way too early in the season to be doing this, obviously, but 4 games
right.
out. It's just man, why?
they have, yeah, the one thing that saves them, I really like the point you made up as far as the conference being so weak. I mean, if they were in the West, they would like you could almost write them off right away, right? With
So,
how tough
oh
that
my God, they might not win a
conference
game.
is. But yeah, I mean, I if I had to pick today, I would probably say no. they won't make it. Just because I don't trust them to stay healthy, and I don't trust this team to win games without him. Right? Like they've proven, even last year they limped into the playoffs with him missing so much time. So I just don't think they're a good enough team, even with George and Maxey, to consistently beat good teams without their star player. And it seems like unfortunately, he gets hurt just about every year.
Maybe this is what I was thinking of when I was remember earlier when I said Zion Williamson seems to always be hurt and it kind of sucks. Maybe this is what I was thinking of is Joel Embiid because I mean, man, it started since he came in. It was like trust the process. Came in with the foot injury. I mean, it happens with the big guys and everything, but yeah, just looking through the lineup, man. I mean, other than Jared McCain, who we're going to talk about the 76ers, that guy's been an all-star for. I mean, all right, he's been great for them. Let me not throw all-star out there so aggressively, but he's been awesome for them. I mean, he's truly been really
He's
great.
rookie of the year for sure so far.
34 the last 3 games. I mean, he's all they got at this point. It's just Matt looking at their lineup and their. I mean, they got Caleb Martin from my Heat, and he's not been playing too well for them. Should have
Yeah,
stayed home. Kelly Oubre
right.
not playing too well. I mean, they're just like you
Well, that's
said,
one
they're
thing they
mess,
always
man.
say about Miami, like role players, right? Is like they're not as good when they go to different teams, right? Like that's a real thing as far as like, there's so many examples of it with, Gabe Vincent with the Lakers or even Max Strus with the Cavs, who's like injury prone now. So, yeah, I think that's another example of, a team overpaying for a Miami guy and it not working out. So,
I'm not gonna be that guy, but Jimmy Butler versus Joel Embiid, y'all know, yeah, that might be two different things. I mean, I don't know how
yeah,
serious Joel Embiid. It's all right, Joel. All right, Joel. I'd be more afraid of I think Jimmy Butler fighting me than Joel Embiid, even though I'm not gonna. I think both of them would obviously kick my ass, but if I had to choose, I think I'm fighting Joel Embiid. I hate to say it, even though he is the bigger guy. Jimmy would do some scary
definitely.
things. Jimmy would do some scary things, man. But fun for it to end it
Definitely.
on. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA Cup because I know is it December 10th when they start the tournament play? I think I saw. So we
Yes,
got
that's
a little
correct.
bit. I think like 2 3 weeks off the top of my head without actually looking at the calendar. So I mean they've just barely started. How does this?
Yeah.
So they only play the Cup games on weekends, correct? Is that how that works, or is it extended to like
Yeah,
some
well,
days?
I believe they play mostly weekends. Well, if you count Friday, right? Or you count, yeah, because it's a bunch of games tonight that are all cup games. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
so and a lot of them are pretty intriguing. I mean, just taking a look at the standings right now, as far as like specifically the um, the groups and whatnot. The one just on paper really stands out. We kind of touched about it, but it's Dallas and Denver. That should be a really good one tonight.
forgot about that
And
game already tonight.
yeah, in Denver, I mean that's a really intriguing one. My Bulls play tonight against the Hawks.
Dude, that's an important one for you guys.
It is, yeah, because they're a game better than us right now. And like you said, man, with the East being so bad, it seems like it's wide open as far as making playoffs. It should be Boston's conference to lose, but as far as making playoffs, it's just about it's wide open for everyone right now. So that's another good one. I think the Pacers and Bucks is an intriguing one. They're both 6-9 right now. That's a playoff rematch if you remember from last year. So there's some good ones, man. Kings, Clippers later tonight as well. So definitely some interesting ones to look forward to. And I just like whenever two good teams like in the West play each other, right? Because like we talk about the conference being so stacked, so it feels like every game is important whenever two teams from that conference play at least.
So pretty much you just want who you want the Boston Celtics West, and you'll have a fun game. Past that in the East, it's looking like a little bit scary hours. But yeah, looking at these standings, quickly just to go over it. I mean, East
Yeah,
Group A, Magic 2-0 leaders tied with the Knicks. East Group B, you got the Detroit Pistons at 2-0. The Detroit Pistons.
yeah,
Look at.
they've been knowing when to win those games. I mean,
Oh, whoa! They beat Miami. We don't need to talk about them. About them.
no, I'm just saying they've been playing well in the tournament so far. I think they're like 7-10 overall. So again, in the East, that'll get you like a home court playoff advantage in the first round, maybe.
have a coach that cares this season now, right? We I don't think the coach cared last year at all, right? That boy just got that bag and got out damn near.
Yeah, Monty Williams. Yeah, he was
I
the
couldn't remember his
NFL
name. Yeah, Monty.
toughest coach. Yeah, yeah, and
It didn't work out. To his credit, the roster wasn't great, obviously, but that's putting it
Wasn't
bluntly.
great either. Let's just put it that
No,
way. It
no,
was
it was
a
not.
total failure. But yeah, continue on to the group standings. Group East Group C got Hawks 2-0 over the 1-1 Celtics. I remember Celtics were 16-point favorites, I think, in their game.
Wow.
Trash, and they blew that to the Hawks. Rockets regress Group A. You got Rockets in Portland tied at 1-0.
Yep.
Lakers in West Group B, they're 2-0. Another 2-0. My fault. Golden State Warriors. Let me try English for once. 2-0 with the Mavs behind them at 1-1. That if you had to pick, do you know these? Do you know what each group is? Like who's in what each group?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So,
Favorite group in the East and West.
okay, so let's start with the East first. So I think like the favorite as far as like who I think is gonna win or like most stacked.
Zach, we'll do
Okay,
that win
okay.
stuff in a minute. Like who do you? What's your
Sure,
favorite?
sure,
Like
sure.
the favorite five teams in the between the three.
Gotcha. Okay, so just looking at it,
I was originally gonna say A, but that
you're
just
talking
because
about for the East.
my choice if I had to pick, just for the fact
Okay,
that uh, maybe the four-headed monster. I can kind of care less about the Raptors, but Heat, Pacers, Bucks,
sure.
Pistons. I feel like I could just get kind of nasty with the way those teams play.
Yeah, I agree. B isn't bad at all. Honestly, the East is pretty even for all three of those teams. Because I mean, you look at Group C, you got Boston and Cleveland together, and they're easily the two best teams. So then Atlanta and Chicago are kind of
Guys, there with that group.
yeah, they did. Oh yeah, we got no shot to win it. Ironically enough, the Hawks have gotten off to the best start of the five, but I don't think that's going to last. Um, yeah, yep, yeah, they plus 13, and then they're the only undefeated team in the group as well thus far. So hopefully my Bulls can change that tonight. But in the West, I think it's clearly Group C is the most stacked because you got Golden State, Dallas, Denver, and Memphis. If New Orleans was healthy, they would be a really good team, really competitive team this year as well. So um, yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And Group B isn't bad at all either. I mean, Lakers, Thunder, Spurs, and Suns is pretty strong as well. There's just so many good teams in the West. It's hard to pick which one is gonna or which group is the best amongst the three. But yeah, I would probably have to say Group C, especially with the way Golden State's playing thus far.
We gotta say, I want to talk Wemby so bad, but we gotta save it because he's gonna have so many more great moments. Like we don't need to talk Wemby all season.
Sure,
I mean
sure.
that guy is just he's just. Really quick
He's
before we
brutal.
go back to the Cups. I mean, how watching him, he just makes no sense. I
He's
just,
brutal, man.
he
He
just
is
makes
brutal.
no sense.
He's brutal. He's something that we probably will never see again, just based on how lengthy and tall he is, and yet he can dribble like a point guard. Like it just doesn't make sense how some of the stuff he can do, man.
It's ridiculous. I mean, he freaking nature. I hope he
Yep,
truly stays healthy because he's one of those
same.
one. He's one of those ones like we talked about a little bit earlier with Curry, where it's like we might be witnessing something that's like we ain't gonna see anymore.
No,
Before we got two things I want to end with, and the last one's just gonna be basic. I'm gonna let you talk about your Bulls real quick and what you kind of have expectations upcoming for next week or two. But real quick,
okay,
NBA Cup. We're just pretty much gonna go over some group winners, pretty much like a this or that. Who would you pick if you had to pick between the two? You
okay.
got we. I'll give you the first one because we already gave you the little bit of the hint earlier. Rockets plus 125, Timberwolves minus or plus 135 as well. I'm assuming those are going to be the two to win it. You got the Kings behind them at plus 900, which I'm assuming kind of means they're in trouble.
Right.
So, if you had to pick, who would you pick between the Rockets or the Timberwolves to finish out of that group?
Ooh, man, that is tough because Rockets are a legitimate team. They're I think the third seed in the West right now, so that's a really good question there. Um, Gosh, my heart says Houston. Honestly, I think they have a team. I don't know. I don't think I would pick Houston to beat Minnesota in like a playoff series, but I think they have the team where they're like hungry to win this tournament in the regular season. They just got like that young team that plays hard. Ime Udoka is a great coach. And I just think they want this more, if that makes sense. And my gut says Houston right now for sure. They got a really good team too.
Since yeah, especially with the Timberwolves going to the finals. Like obviously they want to win this for the players and everything, be money. But there's one of those mind. There's definitely like
Yeah,
a lingering mindset in there where it's like we've been in the finals. Like
right. They got their eyes on something else. I can totally see that.
all right, like this ain't like the Lakers last year who thought that was their national title. Speaking of
Yeah.
Los Angeles Lakers, so I'll give you four options for this.
Okay.
Three because plus 1400 feels like that's probably not going to happen. Shout out to San Antonio Spurs. You got the
There we
Sun.
go.
So you got the Lakers, Thunder, and the Suns. Lakers and Thunder are by far the favorites at plus 135, plus 150, and then you got the
Wow.
Suns at plus 330 for Group B. Who would you have to pick if you had to pick between those three to represent them?
I'm giving the Lakers a lot of love right now, and I don't like it, but I'm going
Man,
with the Lakers. I'm
I
going with the Lakers. And in
can't even
fact,
blame
I
you.
think the Lakers are going to be the team that I think they're going to win this again. I think so. I think so, man. I mean they're 2-0 already. I think their next cup game is I want to say Monday at Phoenix. That's going to be a really really important game. Um, Phoenix is the problem with Phoenix is that they're missing Durant and Beal right now. So both guys are there. I just saw a report come out today from a few sources that the Suns are hopeful that both guys come back for that game. If they do, that gives them a much better chance. If they don't, I think the Lakers are just gonna easily beat Phoenix. I mean, it's gonna be Devin Booker and a bunch of guys, right? Um, so I think
Ags.
yeah, right. So I mean, they're 2-0 already. At Phoenix is big, and then I believe their final game would be OKC because that's the only team they haven't played yet. They beat the Spurs and Jazz already, and then the Thunder. That's gonna be a really tough game as well. But yeah, I think the Lakers, man, I really do. But I hope I'm wrong.
And I hope you're wrong too, as a guy who kind of actually likes LeBron, man. They are not going to let him hear the end of it if he wins two of them in a row but doesn't win another
Oh,
title.
true,
Oh man,
true, 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 true.
I feel
But
so bad.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this. I'm not a LeBron guy. I never claimed to be. But if it was anybody else who won that, they people would not be giving him as much. You know what I mean? Like say it's the same thing with and I'm just being fair. I mean it's the same thing with the bubble ring too. Like if anyone else won in 2020, like it would be viewed as like one of the hardest rings to win. But because it was him, it was it's about Mickey Mouse, all this stuff, man. It's people it's they move the goalposts and stuff, and they don't realize that everybody was playing in the bubble. It wasn't just the Lakers. So the best team won that year. It is what it is.
Man, yeah, bringing up bad memories for your boy, Jimmy
Oh,
Butler. Jimmy
bad
Butler gave it
memories.
his all, man. That was a heartbreaker, man, because that was like the height of the Heat run.
Yeah,
And
broke my
now
heart too.
yeah, now it's just looking like, man. I'm happy LeBron was able to get another one, obviously, but man, shout out my Heat, man. They should
We'll
have won
never
that
forget.
thing.
We'll never forget Jimmy's Game 3 and Game 5 performances.
You need this if we can figure out how to get Jimmy some goddamn help. But
Yeah,
nobody wants
yeah,
to come to Miami and work hard. It's whatever. Anyway, Group C. Oh no, actually, yeah, Group C. We're gonna go for the West. I got a
yeah.
really important one. I actually do have a wager on this one, so I'm not gonna say who, but we're gonna.
Okay,
So you got the
okay.
Mavericks.
So
So you got the Mavericks. We aren't gonna say odds either. So we got the Mavericks, the Nuggets, and the Warriors. Look like they potentially are the three who have a legitimate shot, two more than the other.
yeah,
Who would you pick to come out of this group?
this one is the toughest one because again we talked about it a few minutes ago. I think this is the best, not only group in the West, but I think this is the best group in the NBA this year. Um, Man, this is so hard.
Kind of changes the Mavs too. So that
Yeah,
kind of makes it Denver Nuggets Warriors. I feel like, right?
right. I'm thinking so too. I would. My gut right now says the Warriors. They're 2-0 right now, and Jokic for Denver, he's been out for the last few games for personal reasons, actually.
What that's it? Been like announced what's going on, or is it just like he's
No, nothing that I've heard. I mean, that obviously could be a bunch of different things. Usually, well,
him here?
right, just obviously hoping for the best for him and hoping, he and his family are all good. But I know he's like questionable tonight, and they play the Lakers tomorrow actually. So hopefully he gets on the court for either tonight or tomorrow. But um, I'm saying I'm bringing that up to kind of make my case for the Warriors. I think the Warriors are gonna take the group. Um, Again, not only 2-0, but they're the top seed in the West in general. And I think again, I can really see Steph Curry going for something like this. You know what I mean? Like I could really see him wanting to do something like this. Yeah. So
For him as well.
yeah, yeah. Another feather in the cap.
Team I wanted you to pick, so that's awesome. I just did a quick search up real quick. No idea how true this is. I'm seeing rumors of paternity leave potentially, which if that's the
Oh,
case,
okay.
that'd be the best case scenario. So we love to see
Yes.
that.
Yes,
So
that'd
if
be
that's
awesome.
yeah, I'm assuming it's good if they just said personal reasons. I feel like if they would have came out and said if it was like injury related, obviously or something like that, they would have said something. I feel like if it was super bad,
Yeah.
they would have made it like they wouldn't have said it, but then been like he's going to take his time, he's going to be okay and everything. But if that's the case, hopefully we're all good. Uh,
Yeah, no injury for sure. I think it's really just, something personal. So that would be awesome for sure. That'd be great.
a ring and a kid. Shout out.
Yeah.
Group A. This one's going to be wild. The third favorite is plus 5,000. So we're going to talk about two teams. We got the Orlando Magic and New York Knicks. Who you like?
I like the Knicks. I do.
Probably a good reason for that.
Yeah, I do. I know the Magic are, well, they're both 2-0, but the Magic have a much better point differential at the moment, so they're technically the top seed. Um, I really do like New York, and it's based on health. Again, with Paulo being out, I know we talked about it in the first segment. He's going to be out for at least until mid-December would be my guess, and that might be just thinking positively. It might be even much more than that. So I really do like New York. I mean, their stars are healthy. Carl Anthony Towns is just playing out of his mind this year so far. Brunson's still Brunson. So I just like their team more, and I can see again a guy like Thibodeau can really go for something like this. He plays his guys hard, so I like the Knicks in this one.
So that's probably you probably have a great feel for that. So you're probably onto something there. I
Yeah,
can't really argue with anything you say if they're minus 400 for a reason. But yeah,
right.
this we got a good one here. I'll give you 14 for this one. Miami
Well,
Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, Group B. You got two clear favorites and then two other teams that are kind of hanging around. I'll give you the odds at the end. Who you like?
okay, okay. Oh man, yeah, that is a tricky one, isn't it? Because Detroit is 2-0.
Bucks are the two that are on top, and then you got the Heat and the Pacers that are
Okay.
a little bit lower.
So you're probably not gonna like this. I do think Milwaukee is gonna win the group. I'm not really confident in that because I don't really like how any of those teams have played so far this year. Um, yeah, no. Again, it boils down to the East, right? I mean, just so many bad teams this year so far. But I do like the Bucks because I think they're going to turn it around eventually, with the hopes that Middleton eventually comes back. And man, I think it seems like they're still trying to work on how to implement both Giannis and Dame in that lineup. I mean, yeah, it's
For
just
a year, why do they need to keep doing that? It's weird.
yeah, it's just something that I'm not sure what it is. I mean, obviously Giannis has played with much worse point guards in the past, offensively speaking. Particularly Drew Holiday, he played with for many years, who is is a great player, very good player, but not doesn't have the same skill set as a guy like
Not him.
yeah,
Though.
right, exactly. So, but you're right. I mean, they've been playing for this is their second season now, so you think they would be off to a better start. But I'm really curious to see what they're like when Middleton comes back. Because by then there'll be no excuses. No more injuries, no more. Doc is just came. No, he's been here for almost a year now too. So there should be no more excuses when Middleton comes back. But with that said, I do like the Bucks because they've kind of been playing a little better as of late.
putting up some MVP numbers. I think it was like 31, 11, and 6, 7. I think he was averaging. I saw. I don't know what the assist is, but I
Yeah,
think it's like around 31, 11, which is pretty good. Pistons, by the way, plus
yeah,
130. Bucks plus 175. So it's actually pretty good because you got the Heat plus 400, Pacers plus 650. Bucks second favorite at almost 2-1. That's not bad compared to some of these other ones that are been kind of poop. Let's be honest. Knicks minus 400.
yeah,
That sucks. Those are some ass odds. I honestly truly thought because I'm like, oh, they're both somewhat close. It'll be somewhat decent. But man, Paulo apparently carries a lot for them. But hey, if the way Franz keeps
yeah.
playing like this, watch out. Watch
Right,
out, New York
right.
Knicks. But last
Oh
group real
yeah. I
quick.
mean,
Oh, go ahead. You got anything
yeah,
to add on?
no doubt. I mean, Magic just real quickly. Magic are 10-7, so they've been playing great even without Paulo.
The whole beginning of the show talking about how good that boy Franz Wagner's been. So I mean,
Yeah,
gonna be a fun watch. Last group to talk about. This one we don't. Your Bulls are plus 2,300. I just wanted to bring them up because they are your team. Shout out the Bulls.
yeah.
Celtics. I'll actually give you odds for this one because I think this is a tough choice regardless. Celtics plus 250. 50. And then Cavaliers plus 155. Hawks plus 140. As a casual NBA fan, I immediately am like, wow, Boston Celtics plus 250. I want all of that. But after seeing what they did against the Hawks the other night, it's kind of like, and by the other night, I mean like, what, a week and a half ago or something at this point? It's like, wow,
Yeah,
that was interesting to say the least.
not great, right? Yeah, I would say, man, that one's tough too because you got Cleveland.
Yeah, because like,
Yeah, yeah, it is. My pick is still Boston. I think Boston is still gonna take this one. Um, it's really close between Cleveland. I expect Atlanta to go down. I know they're the only undefeated team in the group right now. I honestly think the Bulls have a pretty decent shot at winning tonight against the Hawks. So they're at home. That crowd is usually really good on Friday night home games, so they should be behind them. Um, and I like Chicago to win that tonight. So
schedules for Hawks, you got at Chicago versus Cleveland. If Chicago wins, that's going to make that a lot tougher, like you said. And then you're looking at
yeah, that's my point. Yeah. So I mean, although they've gotten off to the best start of the five teams, I do like Boston to win it, and they were close to winning it last year. If you remember JCP, I mean, they were in the final four and they lost to Indiana, and I guess you want to call it the semis
I
of
honestly,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, before Indy played the Lakers in the finals. So they were right there last year. So I think this is the year that they can not only win their group, but also potentially make it to the finals. And why not? Because right, I mean they're the team right now. So they have the
For this, like the next two games I got it right here. If you
so
don't,
yeah. So I know they play. You're talking about Boston, right?
this like I got it right here. If you don't, if you, it's.
Oh, so it's at Washington tonight. I know.
I mean, if we're
Oh
being
wow.
honest about the Boston Celtics,
That there you go.
it's a good chance. I mean, the only thing you're looking at point differential wise, Cavs plus 15. They play Atlanta, Washington. So
Oof.
that Atlanta game's gonna be the one. But I mean, past that,
Oof. Yeah. Yeah.
it actually really kind of matter now that I'm looking at it for this East group. That's awesome. This is gonna be
No question. No doubt.
uh
Yeah. No
I know we've
question.
kept you really long. I appreciate you coming on for real. This has been a blast, man. Because,
Yeah,
like I said,
man.
if we didn't do this, I would have no idea what the hell's going on in the NBA. So I truly do appreciate it. We're gonna end it
100%.
with I'll let you end it every week like this, man. What's up with the Bulls, man? How they doing? What's going on? Anything you want to say about the Bulls before we get out of here?
Man, 6-10 right now.
Excited for the future. Ready to pack it up and get a new draft pick. What's up?
Yeah. Maybe none of those things. I don't know. They're 6-10 right now. They're a team they're and this is where they've been the last several years now. They're in the worst spot that you can be in the NBA, which is a team that's a playing contender but not good enough to make the playoffs or make a run. And as a sports fan in any league, that's the worst place you want to be in. You either want to be a contender or you want to be really bad to where you can speed up that rebuild process. And the Bulls are neither right now. They're 6-10 and in a bad conference, I can easily see them making the play in, right? And even winning a playing game like they did the last 2 years. lost to your team both years, by the way. Thanks for that.
Last year's one was a heartbreaker too. I can't believe the Heat won that one.
Oh yeah, you guys smoked us last year. 2 years ago was a really close game, which is wild because that whole finals run that you guys made might have not happened if we. Yeah, yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, that's on me. My bad. That was 2 years ago. That was a really close one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Last
you're
year
right.
was
My
a
fault. My
blowout.
fault. Wow.
Last year was a blowout. Yeah. But nonetheless, I can see them easily doing that again this year, which is again, that's not where you want to be. Um, and this is, the problem with Chicago sports in general right now, where you have too many teams like that who are either really bad or they're bad. Yeah, they're bad, but they're in like that middle to bad range to where they're not going to get like a high pick. Like what would the Bulls, in my opinion, have like no shot at getting like the first overall pick and in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, right? So yeah, I mean they're no, they're not, and that's the thing. Like that's why I would almost prefer if they traded Levine in the offseason, traded Booch in the offseason, traded these guys. You know what I mean? To where you,
Real quick. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you, but that's what I was gonna ask you. Should they get rid of Levine at this point? And like, I was gonna say, and Vucevic. Like, should they? And you kind of already answered it.
I think you got to, right? I mean, why are you keeping these guys when you're just doing the same thing? Yeah, yeah, right, right. That's Jerry's MO, right? That's
A lot
what
of
he wants.
points, but plays
Yeah,
no
yeah.
defense.
They're attractions, right? Yeah, that's Jerry's MO is all about that, all about money, of course. But no, I think you got to move off them. I do. Start up the rebuild process. Play your rookie more, Matas Buzelis. Play him more, get him more minutes. Like right now, he's playing like 8 minutes a game. Like he's not even playing any minutes. And you drafted him. I think he was the seventh or ninth pick, but I think it might have been ninth. But either way, he was a top pick in the draft. Yeah. So, and he was expected to go, which is wild. He was expected to be like a top five pick. So he kind of fell a little bit. Um, but no, I think they got to trade those guys. I really do. Trade even Lonzo if you can get something for him. I mean, he's injured again. Um, so just trade all of your veteran guys that you can, and keep the likes of Kobe White and Io DeSumo and Matas Buzelis and all those guys, and then you can kind of lose more and more games and hopefully get a top 3 to 5 pick in this year's draft.
So bad for Chicago sports, man. Oh my God, it's
Oh,
you guys been
brutal.
having. As a partial White Sox fan, that was enjoyable to damn near get a bet against them. First year I didn't bet baseball. Could have bet against them every single day and probably would have made thousands of dollars. Then you got the
Oh my
Cubs; they
gosh.
were okay. Then you
Do it
got
next
the
year. Do it
next.
next year.
They're gonna be
Do
bad
it.
again, aren't they?
Oh, dude, you'll profit if you do that next year. Every game, you will.
Good, but it might have to become a thing. And then you got the
Yeah,
Bears, who we don't have to get into too much of the Bears. Man, man,
yeah.
man.
Sunday was rough day for me.
It's just crazy how like I said, I don't want to elaborate on too much because I'm not a guy who loves bashing on fans because it's like we don't need to do that because as a Colts fan, I know it's going to be coming soon anyway. But it's like, man, how do they do it every single time? You don't got to answer that question. It's a rhetorical question. It's just like,
Yeah,
man, every
yeah,
single
yeah,
damn time, Bears. But
yeah,
man, I
and
truly do.
always against that same team, Green Bay.
I mean, what really sucks though. Shout out to Caleb Williams though for real. He played really well. I thought last game they truly should have won that game. That's just
He did enough to win the game, and they didn't win.
I will kind of blame it partially on the play calling. Get your
Yes.
goddamn quicker. Get your goddamn kicker closer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's Eberflus, right? That's your guy from the Colts, from the D coordinator from the Colts.
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, he is.
If you wanna send him back,
He's excellent. Yeah, he's great at that role. I mean, he's a defensive guy. I just don't like him as a head coach. If he was our defensive coordinator, oh man, if he was calling the defensive plays and had nothing to do with being in that position as a head coach, I think he would be excellent. Absolutely.
you can have Gus Bradley. We'll take back Eberflus.
Gus Bradley, yeah.
Oh my god, man. We don't got time on the show for me to talk about that guy today. But man, I truly appreciate you coming on. Hopefully, we're gonna make this at least bi-weekly, and then once NFL season's
Yeah,
over, hopefully we can make this weekly. We'll have to see because I
yeah.
truly had fun. It was a blast today. Any last words you want to leave us with?
No, man, I appreciate you having me on. It was a long time coming. Obviously, we've talked about it for a while. but no, it's
That's a Jew, damn near, honestly.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. So it's been so long, but no, I really appreciate you, man. I mean, this is a blast, and I look forward to doing many more.
I told you we are gonna go 30 minutes. Only been about an hour, so I mean, not too shabby, not too shabby. But no, like I said, I truly
Yeah.
do appreciate it. Gonna be a great week in sports. We just talked about. I mean, shit, I just gave you guys 2 days of football stuff that's gonna be happening. Big weekend for IU football versus Ohio State. NBA, we got action tonight to talk about. I mean, NBA Cup's gonna really matter. So we're about to have 3 banger days of sports leading up to Thanksgiving, man. So I probably won't be able to see you till then. So I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Look
Yes.
forward to having you back the week after to hopefully go over some more NBA stuff. And hey, people, enjoy and go motherfucking who.